All right, everybody. Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about how to prepare for the coming recession. It's pretty much been put out there that this V-shaped recovery is completely off the table at this point. And it's looking more and more that the comeback is going to be bleaker and bleaker. And it's kind of looking now that it might take a few years for us to come back to a normal, and that we might have a major recession, possibly even worse, on our hands. So let's take a look. First off here, failing to prepare is preparing to fail. And that's the extent of it. We know at this point that we are going to have some rough days ahead of us. So if we aren't taking the proper steps, then we're just preparing to submit. And that's something we don't want. Here's just some headlines that I found today in a 5-minute search. Nearly 40% of the poorest households hit with a job loss during the pandemic, Fed studies show. Mortgage delinquencies caused by coronavirus will exceed Great Recession levels. Remember the housing crisis of 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12? Yeah, that says it's probably going to be worse. Weekly jobless claims, that came in today. Another almost 3 million people left without a job. 36.5 million people. Think about that. That's 1 out of 10 Americans, except it's worse than that because not every single American works. In fact, less than half of them work. So that's 1 out of 5 people right now working, at least, that's without a job. And that doesn't count those that haven't filed for unemployment, that have just partial job losses, not enough to get unemployment, other things like that, people above the threshold, the income threshold. And Powell, that's the leader of the Fed, chairman of the Fed, warns of possible sustained recession from this pandemic that we're going through right now. We don't want that, obviously. None of us want that, but it's largely out of our control. So we need to affect the things that are in our control. So how do we do this? Well, we take steps to prepare for what's going to happen pretty much at this point. First off, you got to cut costs. That's obvious. If you lose your job, if you have a loss of income, or even if you're just trying to grow your financial state during this time and coming out of this, because there's a lot of stocks that are on sale right now, you need to cut costs to gain money. You also need to save, save, save. We'll go over all of these, by the way. You need to probably make a side hustle. Again, if you lose your job or if you lose income, having something to do on the side that makes you a couple bucks, that's just a security asset. You need to invest when able and when educated. Investing really is just a gamble, and it can be anywhere from throwing it on all reds to a truly highly educated gamble that is next to no failure rate. And we also need to help others when able. Going through what we are right now, there's a lot of people that feel helpless, that feel hopeless, that feel like they're on this on their own. And we need to be able to help that, be community guides. And even if not a community guide, we still need to be part of a community, even if it's at a social distance. So let's talk about cutting out costs. This was an article by the Motley Fool. Average American spends almost $18,000 a year on non-essentials. That's $1,500 a month. Think about that for a second. $1,500 a month is what the average American spends on non-essentials. If you're one of those people right now, you need to be taking a look at that. $18,000 can do a lot when it comes to getting you through some rough times. And it's better to have that money before you need it than need that money and try to find it. So do you need 12 streaming services? Do you need Netflix, Hulu, HBO, Disney Plus, Spotify, Pandora, Apple Music, all of those things right now? I don't know, because that adds up really quick, especially if you still have regular cable. If you haven't cut the cord yet, you are throwing money out the window, in my opinion, right now. Secondarily, if you have a crazy car payment, it might be time to think about trading that in. Not forever, but for now. I'm personally very strongly against car payments, but in the end, when stuff happens, that Mercedes will drive you just as far as that Corolla. So if you could trade in that $500, $600, $700 month car payment for a $200 a month car payment? Again, that's $500 a month. That's pretty substantial. Learn to cook. Right now, restaurants are pretty well closed down, and even once they do open up, I can't imagine many people are going to be just dying to go to the restaurants. You know, if you look at the coronavirus cases right now, over 1 million people in the US actively have it. That's one out of about 360 people in the States. How often do you go through a day and you see 360 people? Well, now you have to look at that and realize that one of those people, at least one of those people, probably has the virus that you don't want and you do not want to bring home to your family, your friends. You don't want to be the person that could have possibly killed somebody. So a huge part of that is just learning how to cook. It's also a lot cheaper. Grow a garden. We've already seen the just awfulness that can occur at the grocery stores. We saw an immediate run on groceries. We saw lines blocks long to be able to get into your local grocer. And now we're seeing meat shortages left and right. Now, I'm not saying that you get a pig in your backyard, but have some tomato plants, some lettuce plants, whatever fruits and vegetables you usually eat. You can grow them in your backyard. Now's a great time to learn. And fresh fruit, fresh veggies that you get from your own patio, backyard, whatever it is, are way healthier. It saves you money, and it's pretty cool to be able to just go out there, pick some vegetables, and then go cook. Um, and right now, in my opinion, anything to stay away from a grocery store and anything to stay away from a possibility of another situation when it comes to the grocery stores just having empty shelves for weeks on end, I'd be growing a garden if I didn't have one already. Read the coupons as well. You know, there are so many goods that your grocery store sells every single week that last forever, that go on 50% plus markdowns every once and again. Why not stock up on those right now? If you really like Pop Tarts and Pop Tarts come on sale for $1.99 a box, get 5, 6, 8 boxes. Who really cares? Same with cereal, same with canned goods, same with whatever. Anything that lasts a long time, if it's on sale, buy a good amount of it because you're going to use it anyways. Find hobbies to do at home. We'll get into this a little later as well. But a lot of people have hobbies that just require them to just throw out money. Think golfing, racing, if that's your thing, going out to bars and partying, shopping, a lot of people have as a hobby. We should look at things to do at home. Think woodworking, going back up to the last couple things, growing a garden, learning to cook, hiking in nature, get a mountain bike. All of those things are great hobbies that you can do at home that save you a lot of money, that leave you a little ways away from crowds right now, which is what we all want. Even though things are opening back up, we don't want to get back to a situation where things spike again. Oops. And lastly, if you own a home and you haven't refinanced your house in a while, you might want to look into doing that. I'm not saying cash out refinance, extend your loan, anything like that, but you can refinance your house to get a lower interest rate at our pretty much all-time lows right now. I mean, it's free money. Why not take advantage of all-time lows on your house if you can? Next up is save, save, save. This is number 2. Right now, just think of starting with 1 to 2 grand. Let's take a look at our lives and think what could possibly go wrong that can be solved. Oops, that says the wrong word. Solved with 1 to 2 grand. Think your refrigerator goes out. Boom, problem solved. Think you need new tires on your car. Not a big deal anymore. Think your computer takes a dive. All of those can be solved. All the large expenses in your life that generally happen that are reasonable can be solved with 1 to 2 grand. So let's start saving that. But that's not the goal. The goal is really to have 6 to 12 months of saving. Right now, the possibility of you losing your job, you having to take a pay cut, is pretty substantial. On top of that, you could get sick for an extended period. There are some people that get this that are out of work for well over a month. Lots of people don't have a month worth of sick time. And on top of that, there's other emergencies that come up that are less likely but still do happen. Think your house needs a new AC the transmission in your car goes out. You might need a new roof, or who knows, a family member might need help. You can always help them with that. And with a little extra money stored away, what was once a big problem becomes small quite quickly. Again, if you have 6 to 12 months in the bank right now, and all of a sudden your air conditioner goes out, oh darn, you lost a couple months worth of savings, but at least your credit card isn't getting racked up on. That problem just became a lot smaller. And here's a study that shows half of workers, anywhere between half of workers making under 50 grand a year, all the way up to 74%, are living paycheck to paycheck. And almost 3 in 10 adults have no emergency savings at all. That's insane. I'm just going to say it, that is absolutely insane. If you are that financially irresponsible as an adult, you need to really look at your life and you need to make some changes. The level of stress that people are enduring, putting themselves through by enduring a life where you live paycheck to paycheck and you have no savings is insane. Again, read this last statement below. With a little extra money stored away, what was once a big problem becomes small quite quickly. That is true. Think if you have no money stored away right now and your car breaks down, the level of stress that you have to endure to put all that on a credit card is so huge. But if you just pull that money out of savings and then you work your savings back up, that stress just became smaller. I'm not saying it goes away, but it becomes a lot smaller. Make a side hustle. What hobbies can you think of that you can make money off of? Think about the things you enjoy in life. It might be shopping. If you love shopping for clothes, why not try to make an online clothes deal thing, like an eBay or an Etsy or something like that? If you like woodworking, this is a thing I enjoy to an extent. Why not try to make things on Etsy that are woodworking? If you like finance, why don't you strive more to invest in stocks, find the best credit cards, other things like that that gain you a little bit of money? Cooking's your thing? You can set up a catering gig. You can find, if you live in a sports community, lots of times sports teams come down for a whole season and they just want an on-site cook that comes there for breakfast and dinner every day. Whatever you can think of that you really enjoy, make a side hustle for it. If you lose your job, even if your side hustle isn't an entire paycheck, but it's still a couple $100 a month, that money is extra security that'll put your mind at ease because every little bit counts. And again, the likelihood of losing your job or losing income right now is higher than pretty much anybody has ever seen. Do I need to remind you, by the way? Again, jobless claims came in today. 36.5 million people in total. That's like more than 1 out of 5 people working. Another 3 million in just 1 week. It's been continually about 3 million a week, and it's not really slowing down yet, and that's scary. My dad always taught me this as a kid, by the way, and I think it's useful. Everybody should have 2 hobbies, one that's fun and one that makes money. And it's a good motto to live by. And it's one you guys should think about as well. 2 hobbies. Okay, invest when able and educated. Well, this didn't pop up as I expected, but we'll still go through it. In my opinion, this market is unattached from reality. Companies are completely closed down right now. They're having to rack up debts. We're showing more and more that the growth opportunities coming out of this are getting smaller and smaller. Yet the stock market is going up a lot of the times. These last couple days have been different, but we've seen a lot of green days, which is crazy to me. But there are still companies in here that are undervalued. But there's also some companies that are massively overvalued. I think some companies have cash reserves on hand that'll get them through years of hard times. Those are ones that are no-brainers. But then there's other companies that, to be able to get through this hard times, are opening up billions and billions of dollars in credit that they have to pay back even when they do get back to operating. So, in my opinion right now, you need to be investing in safety nets. That's what I'm doing. These are blue chip companies, companies that are too large to fail, and precious metals, silver and gold. We'll go over that in a second. But again, we can also be investing in companies that are undervalued. But you have to know they're undervalued. You have to do your research and you have to read through their financials to figure that out. But I think there's one precious metal that right now is probably one of the smartest investments you can make. Right in front of us, right here, we have the gold price and the silver spot price. And we can see that since March, gold has been slowly ticking up. In fact, they're substantially higher than where they were in December, January, February. But silver's done the opposite. They ticked up a little bit, but we can see here December, January, February, they're substantially down from that. In fact, 15, 16 bucks an ounce is pretty well near historic lows. Right here in March where it truly fell, it got down into like I believe 12 and change per ounce, and that's almost unreasonably low. And if you bought in there, you're going to be having a great day. But we can show, by the way, that silver is vastly undervalued by looking at the gold to silver ratio. This, for those who don't know, how many ounces of silver it takes to get 1 ounce of gold. And right now, we're at 110 ounces. The lowest on this chart we can see is around 60 ounces of silver per 1 ounce of gold, give or take. But right now, gold, ever since end of 2019, especially the beginning of 2020, gold has started to go up in value. Silver has started to go down in value. And that gold to silver ratio is getting further and further apart. And when a recession is near, silver and gold always go up in value. Now, I did a video earlier on it, but to give you the rough overview, gold is played by the big boys. When the big leagues see a possible recession coming, they buy gold, and gold goes up. Us smaller guys, when we see a recession coming, we buy silver, and it always takes us longer too. So gold's starting to go up. Here soon, in my opinion, us small people will start to worry. Silver will go up. And since us smaller people buy silver, it goes up faster and it goes up harder. There's also another point to why silver in hard times goes up substantially more than gold. And that's because when hard times hit, are you going to be trading somebody 1 ounce of gold for some food? Likely not. But a 10-ounce bar of silver, that might get you something. So I think silver right now is an obvious trade, an obvious investment. But always remember to do your own research. And lastly, we want to help others when able. These guys, they're clearly too close together right now, but they got it right. This guy's holding his chicken, you can see his vegetables, and he's having a great time talking to his neighbor about what he has going on. So let's talk about what we can do and what we should be doing to help those around us. Number one, help your neighbors. We want to be building a garden most likely, so let's cook a meal from our harvest for them. Bring it to their door, tell them to have a great evening. Help them plant a garden. You know, we have neighbors who have these huge, ginormous grass lots that are just a waste of water. Just a small garden in their backyard can have a huge impact on what they have to buy at the grocery store. And having social distancing time with them. Right now, it can be a pretty lonely time for lots of people who have all of a sudden begun working at home, for people who can't see their family as much, or possibly lost their job altogether. It can be kind of sad, kind of depressing. So being that person that they can talk to over the fence, you know, chilling out on the front porch, or even going for walks in the morning with, that is a pretty awesome thing to do to help your neighbors. Also volunteer. There are lots of volunteer opportunities right now. Lots of people are afraid to volunteer, and that's somewhat understandable. But there's smart things we can do, safe things we can do, where our likelihood of having any problems are next to nothing. One of them is to donate blood. There are so many security measures put into place for donating blood right now through the Red Cross that if you're able to, you should. They really need it. There are tons and tons of people out there that need blood to be able to live, be it through an accident, going through chemo, anything like that. Secondarily is food banks or soup kitchens. You know, you can donate canned goods You can donate non-perishables, or you can even go help out at a soup kitchen, and that'll help a lot of people out in this time of need. Food banks are really being used heavily now. And lastly, we want to educate those around us. We want to promote the people to do the correct things. We want them to follow these steps where they cut costs, they save money, they become financially responsible. Because if we are all smarter financially, we will all get through adverse times better. If we all had $1,000 and you lost your job, but you could make rent, that helps out so many other people. It helps out the people that own the apartments. It helps out the people that do the landscaping. And, money just flows through the economy better when we're all able to be smart financially. And that's all I want to talk about today. So, going back, we just want to make sure that we are preparing for the coming recession. It's likely to happen. When Jerome Powell, the Federal Reserve guy, says that a recession is near, we should probably listen. And remember to follow these steps as best you can. Change them for what suits your lifestyle, and maybe add to it. Maybe it's not your spiel to be able to cut huge amount of costs. It changed your life too much. Well, what else can you do? Or maybe you live in an apartment and a garden's just not possible. But I want to just remind everybody to just think logically, be smart with your money, and prepare. Coming out of this, when things do turn, if you have money on the side, the changes that it can make in your life when you invest that money and you get wild returns, pretty substantial. But at the same time, if you don't do the smart things and you're coming out of this with 20, 30, possibly $50,000 plus in debt, that'll also change your life, but not in the way you want.